All walks of life are stepping up to dedicate 67 minutes to making a difference. But for many NGOs, non governmental organizations working on the ground every day, like Oasis Haven in Johannesburg, this moment is more than symbolic. It's an opportunity to turn short term gestures into sustainable support. Whilst blankets, food, and volunteer time are always appreciated, organizations like Oasis Haven say that what's often overlooked is core funding, the very lifeblood that keeps their doors open. Well, joining us to unpack how this Mandela Day can be made more meaningful is Qondani Tshuma, who's a fundraiser at Oasis Haven, a child and youth care center that supports children without parental care. Thank you so much indeed for joining us, Qondani, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning to the listeners on this inspiring day.
Tell us a little bit more about Oasis Haven, what you do and why the work that you do is so important.
So Oasis Haven is a child and youth care center. We care for orphaned and vulnerable children, providing them with tailored education, therapy, as well as medical care, just to reverse the effects of the trauma they've experienced in their very short lives at that point. We put a specific focus on education, trying to, ensure that by the time they age out of the system, that they can be able to become, responsible members of society as well.
So typically on Mandela Day, what happens at Oasis Haven?
In the past or currently?
In the past, and then I guess because what we're trying to do is maybe shift things a little bit, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so typically in the past, we'd get a lot of phone calls about, doing what we would call feel-good activities. So painting walls and maybe cleaning the garden, which are all important things to us. Of course, we really appreciate it. But at the end of the day, what we've also identified is that without us meeting our other needs and costs that we are obligated to pay, we then are left in a bit of a ditch. So as much as painting the walls is great, it's also good to find out what are the challenges an organization might be facing, just so that you can align better with their mission.
So tell us a little bit about those challenges. Is it just funding or there's more?
Well, there's always a lot more, but the biggest challenge will always be funding for an MPO, because all the operations function through us having funding, right? So in order for us to take care of the children and to send them to school and to pay for their medical expenses, we need to have money in the bank, as well as, the children have caregivers who are qualified. They have their own families as well, and it's important that they are fairly remunerated. So, funding for us is probably the big sticking point, if I could say it that way.
So your appeal on this Mandela Day, what would you say to people, corporates in particular, who are out there and they're thinking, we've got our staff, we want to get out there. I suppose you want the hands on deck, but also financial support.
Yes. So hands on deck, definitely, but also take the time to do some due diligence, speak to the people who run the organization, find out what their challenges are, see in what other ways you can help. As much as the practical help is great, there's also something to be said about supporting organizations financially, which can help them move forward in a more sustainable way.
Talking about sustainability, would you prefer that some of these helps that they give was throughout the year rather than just one day a year?
100%. Consistent giving is probably the most important way you can give back. By giving once off, of course, it's a big help to whatever NPO you're giving to. But by doing it consistently, you allow them to plan for the future. You allow them, it helps with financial planning going forward. And by doing so over a long period of time, you're able to scale your impact, and it becomes a lot more meaningful, I believe.
Have there been Mandela Days in the past that have had a significant impact beyond one day for you?
Yes, quite a few actually. Last year was quite a good Mandela Day for us. We actually embarked on this journey last year of taking the stance of being an organization that actually tries to educate its donors and the public as to how to do Mandela Day well. So this year we're still on the same mission, and I guess we will continue to do so for the foreseeable future.
I guess it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because these costs that you talk about are unseen. You know, electricity, staff salaries, therapy, and that kind of thing. And to change that mindset of saying, look, yeah, Madiba says it's our works, it's our hands, that kind of thing. Has it been difficult to do that mind shift?
It has been difficult in some instances, and I think it's because we are not broadening our message. Hence why I'm here today to try and spread that message a bit wider. But in saying that, I have to admit that some NPOs have also misused funds before, and that has created a bit of a rift, a bit of distrust between NPOs, corporates, and maybe even individuals in some instances. And so the work that needs to be done is around rebuilding these bridges and ensuring that there can be transparency across the board, and that both donor and organization can meet halfway.
Do you have a specific campaign this year or an initiative for Oasis Haven running for Mandela Day this year?
Yes, we do. So aside from having a few companies that are coming to our homes to do some work, which involves cleaning the gardens and a bit of painting, we are also asking the public to support our Sponsor a Child program, which you can find on our website, to also give towards our City of Johannesburg bills, which are currently sitting at about 50,000 Rand a month, which is quite surmountable for us. But any contributions towards that would be amazing, as well as supporting our children through school. As I said in the beginning, supporting the children's education is the biggest gift for us, so that we can give them. So any contributions towards their education would really change the trajectory of their lives. And then a last one would be for companies to consider doing some internal fundraising as employees or departments, and then selecting an NPO to support through those funds.
How long has Oasis Haven been running?
So Oasis Haven has been running for 25 years. This is
Wow.
actually our 25th year running. It's been it's been an interesting time, to say the least, very challenging, but we are grateful and blessed that we have a community around us that has supported us through thick and thin, and that's the reason why our doors are still open today.
And the reason I've asked is that given that you've been open for so long, a lot of children have come through your haven. Tell us about the difference that it makes on their lives and what some of these children have gone on to become, having had this chance to be taken care of by Oasis Haven.
So I'll give you a simple example.
Mm.
We had a child who came into our care who was found abandoned in a public toilet. And this child stayed with us. And because we advocate for adoption, this child eventually got adopted and has moved to the US and is currently doing his university studies. And he sent us a Facebook message basically stating that his time with us meant a lot to him, and that it's the reason why he's been able to have the life he has currently. And that's what we see ourselves as almost a transit or a bridging point for these children to transition into a better life for themselves. So we have very beautiful stories of success and children whose lives have completely been changed. For instance, going from being found in a bathroom to now living in the US is two different worlds, if I can say it that way.
Yeah, that is wonderful, because I think sometimes we forget that the impact it can be actually generational, because this child now can impact so many people. in and around his life. Perhaps in the final minute, what message would you like to send out to individuals, corporates, South Africans in general about Mandela Day, and maybe some of the ways that we need to think about this day?
So the message I would like to send is that go out there, seek to make a difference in the lives of those who are less fortunate. However, it requires less and actually pay attention to the important points, less of putting our own views and our own thoughts onto what is help, and paying attention to what people actually need and aligning with that.
My dear brother, Qondani, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much indeed for the work that you and your team are doing at Oasis Haven, and I hope that it gets the kind of support that it really needs. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me this morning.
That was Qondani Tshuma, fundraiser at Oasis Haven, talking to us about the work that they do at the Youth Care Centre on this Mandela Day and beyond.
All right, we're getting to the next hour of Africa Rise and Shine. It's 7 o'clock Central African Time. Welcome if you've just joined us, and if you had stayed with us since